we are left talking about wordmarks. That the Philadelphia Eagles changed their quote unquote wordmark. And if you didn't understand what wordmark meant before yesterday, join the club, because I had no idea that's what you call the way that you stylistically put a team's name on a logo. The Eagles decided to change their wordmark.
They dropped that on us.
Yes, it is a Football Friday. Kicking off a weekend here on Birds 365. Thanks for streaming in early with us. You got your MAGA Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald. JM, since about half the National Football League, I think it's 15 teams, had some kind of workout this week, mandatory minicamp, optional minicamp, OTA, call it what you want. About 15 out of the 32 teams were working this week. One of the 17 was not, is the Philadelphia Eagles, who are done with their off-season activities until training camp rolls around next month. So since the Eagles aren't actually gathering as a group, they're not actually working on anything football related, we are left talking about wordmarks. That the Philadelphia Eagles changed their quote unquote wordmark. And if you didn't understand what wordmark meant before yesterday, join the club, because I had no idea that's what you call the way that you stylistically put a team's name on a logo. The Eagles decided to change their wordmark.
They dropped that on us. Oof.
That's huge. You and I discussed, I remember when the story broke that the Eagles would in the future be returning to their Kelly Green. And I'm a fan of the Kelly Green, and I was happy for it. And you were kind of nonplussed that you don't watch uniform, you don't care about uniforms, you care about football and not what color or what the team is wearing when they're making these plays on Sundays. I'm guessing you have the same feeling about the Eagles with a new wordmark.
Unbelievable. So many people so upset. By the way, the Dallas Cowboys, we'll get into that. They got fined for being too physical at minicamp.
The polar opposite of the Philadelphia Eagles, yes.
But as far as the wordmark goes, I mean, go win 13 games. You could win a clown nose. Who gives a what? First of all, it's a merchandise grab. It's always a merchandise grab. I joked about it with the Washington football team when Daniel Snyder was finally forced to change the name from the Redskins. And there's this whole, we need time. We need time. I said right away, no, they're going to double dip from a merchandising standpoint, and they're going to wait and do the Washington football team. By the way, I thought it should have been Washington Football Club going the soccer route. I think it would have worked better. But nonetheless, from a marketing standpoint, and it worked for them and their little fiefdom for the people that are left because of all the disgraceful things he does that are far more important. You got all these people for 2 years buying Washington football team gear, and then you go, oh, hey, by the way, we're gonna rebrand to the Commanders, because it took them 2 years to figure out the command. That's so important to whittle that down, to make that decision. And obviously, when you have an entrenched and no one's gonna protest Eagles, who knows in the future, to be honest. But
be careful what you say, Johnny Mac.
I know. Who knows in the future at this point, because people will protest anything. But
endangered species, I can see it.
Exactly. For now, though, there's no issues. So you can't change the nickname or anything of that nature. So what do? You change the jerseys, the logos. And one of the things I've never understood about the NFL, to be honest, is why didn't they adopt the college method where, Nike University, other people call it Oregon, but I call it Nike University. I mean, they just change their uniforms whenever they want, and they show up and they sell more jerseys, and then they change them again. I'm surprised we haven't gotten to that point. But I mean, I think you told me the story last time we were arguing about the Kelly Green. You were telling me, not arguing, but talking about it. I think you had Ruben on, was it? And you asked him the
Yeah, Ruben
question.
Franks told me on WIP. He said, Jody, for all the games I've covered, all the years I've been doing it, I never noted in my own mind, and they wore this uniform. After the
Never,
game,
never.
I've never once thought about the uniform that
Nope.
they were wearing.
Couldn't tell you 5 minutes after the game. I'm exactly the same way. Couldn't tell you. I can't tell you how many fans tell me, contact me during the week and say, you know what the Eagles are wearing this week? And I don't want to be mean, but I don't give a flying flip. So no, I don't. I don't care. And the minute the game is over, if you ask me what color jersey were they wearing, I probably aren't going to be able to tell you because I'm literally not paying attention. So I get it from a merchandising standpoint, and fans want to buy the new stuff, and that's exactly what they're going for. And they can complain about it and say they want, but you know what? They're going to buy it. So that's why they do things like this.
Well, I think I'm a little bit more in tuned or moved or motivated than you are. That's a rather low bar that I have to get over, as a matter of fact. Here's the key for me and the key for the Eagles if they're making this decision based on Joseph Anthony Aloysius McDonald Jr. Am I more likely to go out and buy any new Eagles stuff? And when I say stuff, that includes t-shirts, hats, can openers, cups, whatever paraphernalia, whatever merchandise you can slap a logo on. Will I be moved or motivated to go out and get a new one with the new Wordmark that says Eagles in a slightly different design because it's new? Absolutely not. The next time I buy some Eagle merchandise, it'll be because I need some new Eagle merchandise, not because they've changed the look or the design or the word mark or whatever. No, it's not a big enough deal for me to go, I need to go out and get myself a new whatever it is that I'm looking to purchase. I'm not going to throw out my old one because, oh my God, they've got a new. No, it's perfectly fine. If it's still doing what it's supposed to be doing, if it's a bottle opener, it's still opening my beer bottles, I'm going to continue to use it. I'm not going to throw it away. Now, John, as you've already noted, you get correspondence via email or text or tweet or whatever way that people reach out to get John McMullen's information or opinion. Oh, there are people that are. There are people that will go out sometime within the next week to get their new Eagles bottle opener because it's got a new word mark on it. And God bless the Eagles, they're going to make more money on it because of it. Not you, not me. We're not going to be moved by it, but I'm also not going to lose my mind. And our buddy BLG, Brennan Lee Gouton, put up a poll on his site. Do you like it? 88% don't like it. Other places have commentary there.
And they're all going to buy it, by the way.
It's a travesty.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace. And really, it's a travesty and a disgrace.
No,
it's
people don't
just
like
different
change.
Phrasing of the same exact thing. They just changed the design around a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more of a subconscious thing. You're talking about, is it going to make you go out and buy something new? But I think, it becomes, all right, let's say for a t-shirt argument and your buddy, and you're apt to buy those things, and your buddy has it at the first game and you don't have it, you have the old one. It's almost like a subconscious peer pressure thing. You want the new,
huh?
Yeah, you want the currents. Yeah, I remember. I think the best logo. It's always Charles Barkley, because he's. I always joke that Charles could be a stand-up comedian if he wasn't a basketball player back in the day. But when the Sixers changed their logo back to, if you go back to the Julius Erving sort of traditional look, which is the look that I like. Yeah, generally that's how it works. You grow up on a team and that's what you like. And they changed it to this garish thing. And Barkley said, I think they gave my daughter some crayons, and that's what she came up with. It was awful. It was hideous. Now I saw it. This is interesting because long before the Eagles changed their wordmark, I saw one of those stupid Twitter things. Who do you remember when you see this classic logo? And it was this ugly Sixers logo that at the time I thought was just the most disgraceful thing in the history of mankind that Charles Barkley on the team was joking about at the time and how ugly it was. And now people look at it and say, oh, there's a little bit of nostalgia there and say, oh, look at that logo. You'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. Wait a week or two. You'll get used to it. It's not that big of a deal.
It isn't that even that big a change. Basically, the wings go out or the wings go in. That's the change.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, and man, if they ever tried to change this, Eagles is spelled Eagles. You know how many people would be thrown off if they had to learn a new song with new spell? Oh my God. You talk about making a change. Change the spelling of Eagles, and you really could throw the entire Delaware Valley into a tizzy. No, it really isn't that big a deal. And some people are going to make it out to be a big deal.
It's fine. And I've always said there's certain teams, that have these story traditions and are never going to change much. Locally, probably the biggest one would be Penn State, which is obviously kind of dull and bland. If you look at it from a current perspective, everybody wants splashy. And as I said, Oregon, and they're never going to change because it's Penn State and they've built up that tradition. And professional sports, probably in football, it's, you're always going to have the star. Eagles fans aren't going to like that, because
that is probably the most iconic NFL logo, is it not?
Oh yeah, by far. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it is what it is. It's the most. There are certain teams, it's the Yankees in baseball, it's the Celtics in basketball, it's the Cowboys in football. Probably, I guess, not a hockey guy, but I assume the Canadians in hockey. That those are the teams. Those are when you think those particular sports, those are the first teams that come out of people's mouths, and they don't have to change. Other teams have to change. I don't think the Eagles have to change, to be honest, but who knows why they do the things they do.
Oh, I think we both know, because they can get, I'll say there's one born every 20 minutes, suckers to buy into the new stuff just because they can. And yeah, it does tell you about, I think it says more about the Cowboys than it does about the Eagles, because the Eagles are not alone in continually changing colors.
Oh, uniforms. No. Most teams
they got a lot of company in the NFL. A lot of teams do just that, but the Cowboys don't ever have to change because they landed on the one that has become iconic. I'll check. One other note, and again, deep X's and O's football related, not that I do want to bring up before we bring in our first guest. Yesterday, they announced that the World Cup is coming to Philadelphia in 2026. 11 different United States cities as the cup comes to basically America, North America, South America, Central America, all the Americans. They'll have different games in different locations, and Philadelphia has been selected as one of the 11 cities that will host a World Cup game. Games. How big a deal is this? I know that the Eagles know when they can and can't use the field, even though it's 4 years down the road, and they're going to be able to do that. How many games do you think are actually going to be in the home of the Philadelphia Eagles?
That we need Kevin Kincaid for, because he's the soccer guy. I'm not
true.
sure.
Oh, he's such a soccer geek.
Yeah. I'll have to ask Kevin about that. I'm not, and I didn't. I assume there's not going to be any major issues. I mean, they work out these things years in advance, and the Eagles are on board, obviously. It's funny because the Eagles kind of run that place. I mean, even though there's public money involved, when you see a concert, The Eagles are sort of running it, and their PR people are doing all this stuff. And same thing will happen with the World Cup.
Oh, it was announced
So,
immediately on
yeah.
PhiladelphiaEagles.com.
So we're very well aware of the dates and all that kind of thing, but I'm not as well versed on the World Cup as some other people. And yeah, maybe we'll get Kevin on to because he'll know that exactly. He'll have that locked down.
We do need Kincaid. Again, better question, better asked of him than you, but I'm going to ask it to you because you're here with me now. What does playing an international soccer game do to the field at Lincoln Financial Field? Because they share it with Temple, and some Saturdays, Sundays after Saturday when Temple's home, there's
Yeah.
usually one or two crossovers, and you can tell the difference when they play on it the next day. Is there any?
Yeah, there is. They've played a lot of soccer games there already, international friendlies, as they call them. They've had a lot of games there over the years, and CONCACAF, which is sort of what goes up to the World Cup, the North American version. They posted a lot of things, and as you mentioned, Temple football in those concerts. They have some Coldplay was just there. I think Kenny Chesney's coming up. Yeah, can tear up the field. That's part of it, and what you got to deal with. I mean, that's kind of baked into it because you have these big stadiums, and more so the newer ones than as and Lincoln Financial Field is still a very nice stadium, but when you see the new ones pop up like SoFi Stadium, and they spent almost $6 billion on it, and you see how quickly things become outdated. And I say to myself, they're playing 8 games, 10 potentially if you're talking preseason. Then you might go to the playoffs if you win the Super Bowl like the Rams and have a couple more. But I mean, you got a $6 billion stadium for a max of 12, 13 dates. No, you got to get the Kenny Chesneys of the world, the Coldplays of the world, and all that stuff in there. So it's just something you have to deal with.
And we will deal with it in 2026 when the World Cup comes to Philly for. How many games? I don't know. McMullen doesn't know. I guess we'll have to get Kincaid on. Well, maybe our next guest will know. I know he's great at the NFL. I know he's a basketball guy, too. I don't know if he's any kind of
Steph
soccer
Curry,
guy.
baby.
Yes, Steph looked pretty good last night. Congrats to the Warriors. Jared Dubin from CBSSports.com, NFL writer and NBA fan. We'll stick with football today with Jared. Jared, he joins us next here on Birds 365.